So I would just like to welcome our first speakers, Christine Naismith and Violeta Bozinovski from Eating Disorders Families Australia, who will be speaking today on the power of lived experience, peer support and education for carers and the whole family.
Thank you, Melissa. Hello, I'm Violeta Bozinovski and I'm joined by Christine Naismith. We are both mums of children with eating disorders and two of the founders of Eating Disorders Families Australia. We founded that back in 2016. Introduction to EDFA. EDFA is a volunteer, peer-led, not-for-profit support and advocacy organisation for Australian parents, partners, siblings and other carers of people living with an eating disorder. The only national organisation solely dedicated to eating disorders carers. EDFA is part of the Eating Disorder Alliance of Australia, representing carers and works collaboratively with other organisations in the eating disorder sector. EDFA believes that connecting carers, educating and supporting them through lived experience is the key to helping them better manage the challenging task of supporting a loved one with an eating disorder. Christine and Violeta, Christine's story.
Hi everyone, I'm Christine Naismith. I'm a pharmacist and the mum of 3 children, 2 girls and a boy. Both of my girls have suffered from eating disorders. My oldest girl developed anorexia nervosa at the age of 16 and she was very unwell, but fortunately she's been in solid recovery now for 8 years. My youngest girl, now 19, still battles ARFID, which is avoidant restrictive food intake disorder, and which is like picky eating with extreme phobias around unfamiliar foods, taste, touch, smell, texture, packaging, the way food looks, and many other food rules. Anorexia nervosa has one of the highest mortality rates of all mental illnesses. This fact alone is horribly confronting as a carer. Someone with anorexia is terrified of weight gain or calories and will do anything to lose weight. Food is medicine, yet this is the very thing they're most fearful of. So our task as carers is to re-nourish our loved ones 6 times a day, with them often fighting us every step of the way. Their fear leads to outbursts of verbal and physical attacks, running away, self-harm, purging, over-exercising, stashing food, and a whole host of frightening behaviours which are not normally part of daily family life. My initial journey to save my daughter from anorexia was full of self-doubt, guilt and worry. There is so much stigma and shame around eating disorders, but I now know and reassure others that parents are not to blame and can be the most important allies in helping their loved one to beat these complex mental illnesses. Caring for my daughter with anorexia nervosa was the scariest, most challenging and most exhausting time of my life. It requires 24/7 supervision to keep her safe and hours at the dinner table, trying to get her to eat with lots of stress and distress for the entire family. For me personally, it was such a lonely, isolating and terrifying experience when no one else truly understood what trauma and worry my family was going through on a daily basis. I had to seek the help of a psychologist myself and marriage counselling with my husband as the eating disorder threatened to tear our relationship apart. When my daughter finally recovered, I found when meeting other carers at an eating disorder conference that we all had similar stories, fears and concerns. I also realised the power of my story of hope, that recovery truly is possible, and how important it is to share that with other carers going through the journey.
So my background is as an IT professional. I manage large projects for large organisations in the IT space. I am a mother of 3 daughters, one who is 26 and twins who are 21. One of the twins was diagnosed with an eating disorder when she was 14 years old. Unlike Christine's wonderful story, my daughter did not recover very early on in the piece, and we have had to deal with long and enduring anorexia nervosa. Like most people diagnosed with an eating disorder or anorexia nervosa, my daughter was a high achiever and very sporty. She trained for her beloved long distance runs with an Olympic level coach, and we knew something was wrong when she started to restrict food groups, rapidly lose weight and become a persona we did not recognise anymore. She shut down, was angry and aggressive. We searched high and low via multiple appointments per week for 6 months to get help, yet the doctors and clinicians did not want to label her and wanted us to take things slowly. The delay in diagnosis and lack of effective treatment meant that the eating disorder entrenched itself even further in her mind, as early diagnosis and treatment is key to recovery and to circumventing years of suffering from the illness, suffering that impacts the whole family. My whole family, including extended family, has suffered highs and lows over the last 6 years, watching her get to death's door a number of times and enduring terrifying physically and mentally violent episodes in our home. We are all acutely aware that anorexia nervosa has the highest mortality rate of all mental illnesses, many who die by suicide. So the amount of fear and stress we have lived with has taken its toll on all of us. My other 2 daughters are still attending weekly counselling, even though their sister is well on her way to recovery now. The other twin has suffered greatly with depression and suicidal ideation since the age of 16 and still suffering, mostly due to the trauma of living with an eating disorder in the house. My own health has suffered, seeing firsthand that no matter how much love, empathy and effort we put in, our efforts were thwarted at every turn by the beast that had captured our daughter. She only turned the corner with the right support therapy for her and a decision that she did not want to be a hostage to anorexia anymore. Now that we're coming out the other side of this horrific journey, the family is so traumatized that we still live in fear that she will relapse, in fear to the point where I believe I suffer from PTSD. Finding other carers who were experiencing the same thing was a lifeline, and having a person who had come out the other side, like Christine, helped us all hold on to hope that there is light out there somewhere. The instant rapport, no judgment and understanding created an immediate bond with whoever we met along the way. We desperately needed to regularly catch up to support each other and gain knowledge through experience. Everywhere we turned, carers had the same story: lack of support, fear, trauma, and lack of understanding. We all lamented how there was no service for carers of those living with an eating disorder. We had all tried the limited services recommended to us, but they didn't cut the mustard. They just didn't get it. So we decided to take matters into our own hands, and Eating Disorders Families Australia was born. I'll hand over to you now, Christine. If you could read the whole next section, Christine, because my notes aren't right. Hello?
At EDFA is because we know that it's such an isolating journey, and there's just an instant rapport and understanding meeting other carers of people with eating disorders. There's no judgment, just validation of how tough it is, and respect for the job that you're doing to save your loved one. There is so much stigma and shame in society around eating disorders and mental illness that people are reluctant to seek help or ask for support. So meeting others on the journey really makes you feel less alone. And the isolation that you experience as a carer, loss of social life, often stopping work to be a full-time carer, no time for yourself or the rest of your family, can be really overwhelming. Connecting with others who understand is reassuring and opens a wider circle of support and friendship, and also the carer's mental health and general well-being benefits from this. Carers need education and support to deal with eating disorder diagnoses. You can't do this alone. Knowledge is power, and carers are time poor without the ability to search endlessly for answers or to navigate to find the appropriate help. There was no organisation solely dedicated to supporting carers of people with eating disorders. EDFA filled a huge gap in the eating disorder sector.
Why families need support?
An eating disorder is eating disorder diagnosis is shocking. Learning that your loved one has a life-threatening mental illness that is one of the highest mortality rates, it turns the whole family's life upside down. There is so much to learn. You're dealing with an illogical brain illness and must deal with constant feelings of worry, fear, guilt and exhaustion while trying to get a child who is terrified of weight gain to eat against their will. This carer role involves constant supervision and vigilance and taking your loved one to lots of medical and psychological appointments. It is mentally, emotionally, physically, and financially draining. And this is not normal parenting. So families need to know what to expect and how to manage. Lived experience peer support provides the reassurance and authenticity needed to do this.
How eating disorders affect the whole family. Eating disorders are not a quick fix illness, so the family's life is in chaos and often for many years. Most of the care and supervision occurs in the home or by family members, so this can be exhausting as there is little respite and often involves daily stress and distress, which impacts everyone. There are losses of jobs as parents need to be home to provide care. Friends disappear and they don't understand or know how to help. A sense of isolation takes hold as social connections take a backseat to being a carer. A huge amount of stress is experienced around so many things. For example, feeling responsible to keep your loved one alive, worrying how to get them to eat, how much to eat and what to eat, finding GPs and clinicians who are suitably knowledgeable and understand eating disorders correctly, worrying about other family members who may feel left out and scared, dealing with the guilt and shame that surrounds eating disorders, and also keeping the family and household running while also taking on this huge task. And relationships. Sadly, divorce and fractured families often occur. Parents, partners, and siblings and other carers can all experience mental and physical health issues as a result. The model of power of lived experience, peer support, education, and community within Eating Disorders Families Australia. This is our model of lived experience support, which has provided so many families with the knowledge, support, and connection they have desperately needed while trying to navigate how to find help, follow treatment plans, respond to challenging situations, and understand the eating disorder mind. Our carer support program is branded STRIVE for support, teach, reassure, inform, validate, and empower. These are the goals we aspire to provide our members when they reach out to EDFA. EDFA now offers an online monthly STRIVE carer support group in every state and territory of Australia, as well as national groups for carers of ARFID, bulimia, binge eating disorder, and a group for male carers called STRIVE for Men. Our education program brings members the opportunity to watch a live webinar twice monthly on a variety of topics around eating disorders or being carers. We have an array of speakers from professional, clinical, research, and lived experience backgrounds. Our monthly sibling support sessions have been well received by brothers and sisters who too often are the forgotten casualties of an eating disorder in the home. These services all contribute a sense of connection and belonging, which is truly unique to EDFA's carer community. Members feel supported, understood, and there is an authenticity that the sharing of lived experience brings that enables trust and reduces the sense of isolation felt. At EDFA, we are passionate about learning from those with lived experience in the hope of reducing the length of time and amount of suffering that the whole family must endure.
Timeline to EDFA's National Support and Education. To give you a brief idea of how far we've come. As mentioned earlier, Violeta and I started a Melbourne monthly eating disorder parent support program back in 2016 after realising the power of meeting with others who understand and sharing my story of hope that recovery truly is possible. We joined with other passionate parents from Western Australia and Victoria to create EDFA later that year. EDFA wanted to replicate the Melbourne group around Australia, so we branded our carer support as STRIVE, invested in a program manager, and developed a strategy and had plans to roll out face-to-face groups around the country. We started with Bendigo in rural Victoria in September 2019, followed by Perth in December, after visiting the major eating disorder stakeholders in the local areas to inform them about EDFA. We were about to launch STRIVE Adelaide when COVID-19 hit and changed all of our plans. We quickly learned how to run sessions via Zoom platform and began our online STRIVE program in South Australia in March 2020. Within 4 months, EDFA had successfully created a STRIVE carer support and private Facebook group for each state and territory of Australia. Our national education program commenced in May 2020, bringing twice monthly carer education on the first and third Thursdays of each month. Sibling support commenced in February 2021. Our newest groups for carers of those with ARFID, bulimia, and male carers commenced March, April, and May this year, with STRIVE binge eating just starting last month. EDFA's reach so far. The map on the left represents the reach of our face-to-face groups. The map on the right shows our reach once we converted to online groups. Moving our STRIVE carer support to online has been an unexpected silver lining of the COVID pandemic, as we can now have the ability to reach more families in not only metropolitan, but also rural, regional and remote areas all over Australia, and our coverage continues to grow every day. Strive feedback and results. EDFA trains our volunteer facilitators who run the Strive Carer program. A monthly topic is discussed, and then the group can ask questions and share ideas to help one another. Sessions are 90 minutes, and we try to ensure that the groups remain hopeful and caring despite the often dire situation that parents and partners find themselves in as they support their loved one with the eating disorder. At the end of the group, we get attendees to fill out a questionnaire which asks them if the session was helpful, question 1, whether they would attend another Strive group, question 2, and whether they would recommend us to others, question 3. And then we ask them which of our Strive measures we fulfilled for them that evening. As you can see from the graph and the feedback on the screen, Strive receives overwhelming positive results on all accounts.
Carer education feedback. Our carer education program brings a vast array of topics and speakers to upskill and inform carers. Twice monthly sessions are 90 minutes long with a live Q&A format. As can be seen from the sample tiles, we have quite an array of speakers from clinical, research, professional and lived experience backgrounds, and these sessions are well attended as carers are so thirsty for knowledge. We cover a variety of topics from treatment modalities, evidence-based practice, stories of hope and recovery, adjunctive therapies, understanding the eating disorder's mind, as well as a need for self-care. We also get attendees to fill out a survey, and once again, the results and feedback speak for themselves. Hearing from experts and lived experience to share knowledge and treatment options is so important to empower carers to be more effective supporters and advocates for those they care for. Sibling support and feedback. And why sibling support? Siblings are so often the forgotten victims of an eating disorder diagnosis. Parents must focus on the unwell child, often dedicating years of care and sacrificing many social and family events. EDFA are acutely aware of the toll that eating disorders take on other children in the family. Siblings' feelings and mental health issues need addressing. Our sibling support group has been well received. Facilitated by 3 adults who are siblings themselves of a recovered person, with a psychologist and educator present, these groups bring a sense of connection and belonging that these young people have never known before. Having a safe space to express how they feel and learn it is okay and that they are entitled to leading a happy life for themselves is so appreciated. Parental permission is required to attend for those who are under 18, and the group is divided into under 15s and older siblings. Once again, the feedback has been amazing and shows us the power of this lived experience and the need for siblings to have support.
The power of EDFA. We believe these factors contribute to the growth and success of EDFA supporting carers. All EDFA board members have lived experience of caring for someone with an eating disorder or personally inside of one. We are carers for carers. This instantly connects us all, builds trust, rapport and community. Our groups uphold hope, sharing joy to inspire while supporting others in times of despair. Our wide range of offerings for carers and siblings helps to support, educate, upskill and reassure. Encouraging self-care and knowing they're not alone brings benefits to carer mental health and general well-being.
Conclusion demonstrating how lived experience is valued by carers. EDFA's peer-led support and education has been well received all around Australia. This is demonstrated by EDFA family offerings having increased from 3 to 15 groups since COVID hit. And we are seeing a 330% increase in the number of families reaching out to EDFA in the last 12 months alone. The unique caring community that EDFA has created is eager to learn, supportive of one another, shares ideas from personal experience, holds each other in times of sorrow, rejoices together with positive news, and helps upskill more knowledgeable, compassionate, and confident carers. We believe people with eating disorders will be better understood, shown more patience and love, and supported more effectively by having families who feel less alone, more empowered, and better informed, thanks to EDFA's lived experience support.
Thank you. Please remember to let families dealing with eating disorders know about EDFA so they can become part of this caring community. The Strive New South Wales Carer Support Group meets online on the third Wednesday of each month at 7:30.